What's going on, guys? My name is Graysen Mortimer. He's Hunter Boyven, and welcome to the Football Biz Podcast. This is the first time that either of us have done anything like this, so hopefully it goes decently well. But we're going to talk about the World Cup groups today.
What a World Cup this is going to be. We're recording this after the first game started, but my predictions have been made before that, so nothing really changed after today.
Yeah, exactly. Ecuador obviously beating Qatar 2-0. Huge result for Ecuador, who I think personally has a good chance of making the round of 16. But that's what we're going to talk about. So I guess jumping right into it. So we're going to go into Group A. Obviously the first match was played today, Qatar versus Ecuador. Now, I do have Qatar finishing last in this group. I just think that the three teams in there are all too good for them. I don't really think that they really have a shot at this. I think they'll go out 0-3, no points.
Probably.
Not seeing much there. I think we'll be in agreement with that one. Yeah, I mean they've got a decent team. I mean, there's a couple players in there like Afif and Ali who are decent players, but not guys that I think are gonna get you over that hurdle um, of a World Cup group stage. So I really just I don't see it with them. So I think Qatar at fourth place I think makes sense. Um, yeah, so you're in agreement there. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Anything to add there?
I mean, the last 15 minutes of the game today saw a little bit of a spark, but that's nothing that's going to take them to great heights. I don't see
Yeah,
anything coming out of this.
absolutely. And yeah, I don't really see anything there. Moving on to third place, I think Senegal, unfortunately.
Agreed.
Obviously reigning AFCON champions, a team that a lot of people had expected a lot from, but with Sadio Mane's injury, you can't overlook that. It's something that is sad because he obviously finished second up runner up in the Ballon d'Or ceremony. So it's tough, but I just think the loss there is too big.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would say that even with Mane, I would put them at second place if they had Mane. But even so, after watching today's game, they probably would have had it, a run for their money. But without Mane, their attacking power is severely damaged, and all you really have there is a strong back line with Koulibaly and Mendy in net. But you're not
Yeah,
going to get much attacking power out of the team now.
but I mean, going off that too, Mendy and Koulibaly are both horribly out of form right now. Mendy's
Very
not even
true.
the starter for Chelsea anymore. It is now Kepa.
Kepa, that's
More on
harsh.
Spain later, but yeah, it is now Kepa. Mendy's not playing as much
Yeah,
as he nearly was, and then Koulibaly's out of form. Idrissa Gueye plays for Everton, who are hovering above the relegation zone
always out of
in the
form.
Premier League. So with all that being said, the fact that their best players out and then their other, probably 2, 3, and 4 are all either out of form or on a bad team, it's not a good outlook. And while I think the quality of Senegal is even without Mane still higher than Ecuador, I with those guys being out of form, I just don't think that they're going to have that type of might to really beat. Obviously, I think they'll beat Qatar, but I don't think they're going to beat what looked like a pretty decent Ecuador team today. And also, I don't think the Dutch are going to
On,
get beat here.
on paper, Senegal is the much better team, but I think we'll just take it straight to second place. I have Ecuador
I also have
in second
Ecuador there. Yeah,
place, but even I don't know the severity of Ener Valencia's injury today. I think even without him, they're still a strong, cohesive unit that won't need him. Their crosses into the box, their set pieces were ridiculous. I think
yeah.
they're such a strong team, and now they have the momentum. So I think second place is easy for them.
I think it's reasonable too. Obviously, there's still guys in there like Moises Caicedo, who big player for Brighton this year, and he's been linked with bigger teams like Chelsea.
Yep.
He's going to be one to watch. He's still young. He's only 21 years old, so he's going to be a really big guy to watch. Obviously, Valencia, that's going to be a lot of their firepower going forward. He did score, I believe, his 36th, and was it 35 or 36, 36 and 37
I
international
think it
goals.
went to 37 today.
Yeah, so obviously Ecuador's top goal scorer ever. And he's been on super form in Turkey this year with Fenerbahce. So that would be a big loss, but with him, hopefully he's back for Ecuador. But even without him, I do think they're still going to be, a team to beat in this tournament. Qualifying from South America is not easy.
No,
So
at
people
all.
look at it, it's like, oh, Ecuador's a really small country. Well, yes, they are, but they had to beat the likes of Chile, and beat out the likes of Chile, Colombia, Bolivia, Paraguay, Venezuela. All they had to beat all those nations to get fourth in CONMEBOL. Obviously behind the big three there, but um,
Yeah,
it's yeah, and I mean Ecuador is definitely slept on, I think, and I think a lot of people going into the tournament before Mane's injury had Senegal above them, and I personally probably did too, but looking at it objectively, I do think Ecuador is going to be a force and a
yeah.
team that really will make the round of 16 and make a push for a far tournament. And then first place, moving on to them, the Netherlands. I mean, they should win this group with ease.
This is a paper champion right here. On paper, the team from top to bottom is unbelievable. They're in good form too. Their last
Yeah.
five.
Now there is one omission from the Dutch side, which had I think a lot of people scratching their heads. Definitely had me scratching my head. Sven Botman is not with the Dutch for this tournament.
Yes, yeah,
Which obviously Virgil van Dijk is still that guy for the Netherlands. He's, I would say, not what he was a couple of years ago, but he's still an absolutely elite center back. Um, but I would say the guy to put next to him would be Sven Botman. Newcastle's in third right now.
a
He's
very disrespected team, but
yeah,
that's
like
for another. That's another day.
the premium. Like obviously they have the whole cash injection, but I mean Botman they got for decent money, but for about
Yeah,
40
he's not
million.
a superstar name that requires a lot of money. That's just a
Absolutely.
passionate
He
fan.
has Champions League football experience too with Lille. I got to see him play Lille with Lille against Chelsea actually in February, which was cool. He's got the Champions League experience. He's undefeated with Newcastle. The one game that they lost to Liverpool was he didn't play. So, he hasn't lost a game for a team like Newcastle. Like that's on its own impressive. Um, he's a big body. He's six
Yeah,
five, and he's a very square frame. He's decently quick and just has all of the traits that you'd want in a center back. So that could I see potentially be impacting them going forward.
true. However, they have one of the most informed players right now in Cody Gakpo. So
Yep,
you lose one thing, but you add another thing. Completely different positions, but the firepower from Gakpo is it's going to take them pretty far, I think.
absolutely. And then you obviously got veterans like Memphis Depay that are in there, and then guys that I think can push them over the hurdle and really allow them to have a deep run. Obviously, their defense is going to be their strong point, led by Van Dijk, of course. But um, yeah, I mean the Dutch are going to be a team to beat in this tournament. I think they'll make it pretty far. So yeah, pretty aligned group there. No, nothing really to talk about much there. Moving on to Group B, I think there will be a little bit more here. I got Wales finishing last.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to
Yeah,
disagree slightly.
yeah. I'll explain a little bit. So Gareth Bale is Wales' best player. I don't think there's much controversy there, but he's playing for LAFC. He hasn't played a lot in the last few months. Where obviously this tournament being played in the winter, a lot of other guys have. So I think with Bale not being in form, Aaron Ramsey's not what he was either. Um, they're an aging squad. I just don't think they have that quality. And then I think one thing that makes me have Iran over them is coaching. Iran's coach is Carlos Queiroz, Portuguese coach, used to coach Real Madrid. He's extremely experienced. He coached Iran in the 2018 World Cup as well, with a couple teams in between that tournament and this one. Um, I just don't think that Wales has that quality. I do think they're going to lose to the U.S. tomorrow.
Yes, percent.
With ease. I do think Iran, while they might not have that same amount of quality, I do think Iran is going to beat them. And then obviously England, I think will steamroll Wales. At least they should, even if Harry Maguire is playing. But uh, I don't think Wales has that level of quality that they once did, and I don't think Bale
Yeah,
be able to put the team on his shoulders like he has in the past.
I can't say I completely disagree with you. I think the third place is going to come down to goal difference. I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses, but I think when it comes down to it, whoever gets third place is dependent on the game they play against each other between Iran and Wales. I don't think either of them have a chance against either England or USA. So when it comes to who's taking third place, which doesn't matter too much in a competition that only takes the first two, it's going to come down to Iran versus Wales that match day, which I think is game day 3. I don't know.
I want to say it is, because I believe England plays the U.S. last. So
On match day
I'm
2.
pretty sure you're
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I do have Iran third. I think the top two in this group are just too much for the other two. And the thing with Iran is they're also ranked 20th in the FIFA World Ranking. So they might be kind of slept on in a lot of brackets potentially. There is a lot going on politically in Iran, so maybe that might hurt them because a lot of there could be some protests there, but their squad isn't bad. No, there is some quality there, and
Yeah.
led by guys like Sardar Azmoun for Bayer Leverkusen. He's a big one. Mehdi Taremi for Porto. He just advanced to the round of 16 in the Champions League. So there are a couple guys in there. Now there obviously are some guys playing in Iran as well. But there is a decent European presence, and then obviously you got ex Premier League players like Alriza Yakhembash. I really hope
Yeah.
I didn't butcher that, but Iran is, I think, a team that a lot of people overlook. And I do think there is that amount of quality in there to where they actually can potentially make a result off Wales.
Overlooked, but still, I think it's not enough here. Just because the rest of the group, which we'll get into in a minute, is too strong for them.
It's,
Maybe in a
it's
different group,
absolutely possible.
I think it would be possible, but not this one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I guess we'll see on that one. But second place, I got the U.S. They're not England. Weston McKennie isn't 100%, which is a massive loss for them if he can't play. Obviously, I would say he's their best midfielder. He can go both ways. Obviously, there's still guys like Tyler Adams in there, but he's a little more defensive. So I think if McKinney's out, then that's a big loss. But I would still say that the USA will beat Wales. I think 2 or 3-0 tomorrow. I think they'll shut down Bale. Anthony Robinson's playing pretty well for Fulham right now. So obviously, that'll be a decent matchup.
Yeah.
At least he should start. If he doesn't, I don't know what Greg Berhalter's doing there, but yeah, I mean the Robinson, whoever plays left back for the U.S. will just have to lock down Bale, and I think that they will, just with his lack of experience. And then the U.S. should beat Iran as well. Obviously, I do think Iran has that quality; they could make a push against the U.S., but I just don't see it. The one thing is with the U.S. is their offense is gonna look good.
Hmm. There you go.
Pulisic in there, Reina in there. Um, Obviously, Ricardo Pepi's a shocking omission. Really think he deserved to make the call over a guy like Jordan Morris, but um, their offense I think will still look good. I don't know how good they're going to be defensively. I think Matt Turner is going to have to stand on his head.
I think I think this is another one that comes down to goal difference. I have personally England and the US both finishing with 7 points here. I think they draw against each other. I think they both steamroll the other two. I think US might be surprising here. I think England will be complacent in a way that they just expect to get first place, and rightfully so. They're one of the most consistently good teams in all of the world, but their form has been not great recently in terms of last 5 matches, whereas the US has been just a little bit stronger. I can't say for sure. I'm gonna put England in first place just on goal difference by a slim margin. I do think they both finish with 7 points here, but
Yeah,
it's gonna be close.
I think England beats the U.S. I think England gets first in this group because they beat the U.S. Harry Kane has proven that he can show up in tournaments. And if he's on form, which he is right now for Tottenham as well, not even just scoring, but he's also doing well in the assist category. I think if Harry Kane can show up in this tournament, which he did last year, last tournament in 2018, he had 6 goals. He was the Golden Boot winner. He's obviously in the prime of his career. I think if he gets the right supporting cast, which there are guys there like Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, who can run in behind and just get those balls into Harry Kane, that'll be huge. And I think if he's on form, which I truly think he will be, I think he'll eat Wales for breakfast. I don't really see England having too much trouble there. Obviously, there have been struggles in the past with England, but I just don't see it. And similarly to the U.S., I don't know how their defense is going to look.
That'll be the other
Maguire was a
thing that
shocking
goes
call up.
down.
And then Fikayo Tomori was a huge loss. I'm going to rant about him
Right.
later.
Yeah,
There's a certain team I think he should have played for, but
but that matters.
he was a bad omission. I think he deserved a call up, and I think he should have been a starter.
Agreed. But again, this is like the same thing with Netherlands, and that you lose one player, but now you're calling up Madison, severely underrated, who is going to
Oh yeah,
change
Madison's having a
the
great
offense
season.
anywhere.
Leicester's finally dug themselves out of a hole. They were dead last in the Premier League, but through guys like Madison,
Yeah,
uh, they are finally coming back. And Leicester's defense has been surprisingly good, but this isn't a Premier League video, so let's move on. We
yes,
both
another
agree
time.
England will get first in this group. At least they should. Moving on
Yeah,
to Group C. Uh, Saudi Arabia is going to be the worst team at the tournament.
whole
I
tournament.
I think that Qatar at least has a couple guys that are decent. Um, and I think that Senegal isn't going to be great at this tournament. So I think that gives Qatar a couple opportunities. I think Saudi Arabia is just going to be shocking. I do not have any expectations for them. The only other team that I think might be worse than them is Australia. But I think Saudi Arabia is just I don't see anything for them. Um, they're not gonna get any points.
No,
They're gonna probably have a goal differential of minus
no.
10. And it's not gonna be a pretty tournament for them. They're gonna get dead last, and yeah,
Agreed.
I have them as my pick for worst of the tournament.
I haven't made that decision yet, but I'm gonna agree. Last place. I don't see anything coming from them.
No,
Against Argentina, and not even gonna touch the ball. I don't think really.
yeah,
I don't think there's really much to say there. But I'm gonna jump to third place here. I have Poland in third place.
ooh,
I
okay, explain there.
Lewandowski is my favorite player of all time.
Yes, he is.
You see the portrait up there. That's all I see coming from this team. I don't think they are at all a cohesive unit. Um, I just I watched them in the last European competition. I just didn't see anything special, and in the World Cup qualifiers, everything came from Lewandowski, and he is capable of carrying a team on his back, but they I just don't see anything special from them. And on top of that, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think Mexico is just so strong together, and they are such a polarizing team
I
that just
disagree with that because here's the thing. Mexico is not what they were in 2018. If this was 2018, I could agree with picking Mexico over Poland. Mexico had a bad showing in the qualifying stages.
mm,
Their best striker, Raul Jimenez, is not what he was. That head injury has messed with him since he had it. Um, they didn't call up Chicharito. They didn't call up Carlos Vela. Both guys obviously, yeah,
that
they're
was
playing
the weirdest
MLS, but
thing.
they're still good. Vela just won MLS Cup.
Yeah, I
But
don't
they're
know. That was the
aging.
weirdest.
Mexico is old. Like Hector Herrera, not what he
True.
was. Hector Moreno is not what he was. It's one of the weakest Mexico teams that we've seen. I'll just go over their roster a little bit. Obviously, guys like Edson Alvarez are coming up, and Chucky Lozano is phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, they still called up Hector Moreno. They still called up Hector Herrera. They're both past 30, 32 and 34 respectively. Um, Most of their defense plays in Mexico. There's a lot of Mexican league players in their team. Andres Gordado got called up. He's 36. Like all of their best players are ancient. Like Guillermo Ochoa, yes, he stands on his head in the World Cup. That's what he's done his whole career, but he's 37.
Yeah,
Like all of Mexico's best players are past it. And yeah, I get Poland is heavily reliant on Robert Lewandowski, but he does have guys to support him. You got Krzysztof Piatek, you got Arkadiusz Milik, both guys, playing for Serie A teams. Kamil Glick, yeah, he's old too, but he's still decent. He's still playing in Serie A with Benevento. Um, and there's enough quality in there that I think is underlooked. I mean, Piotr Zielinski, who plays for Napoli, like he's in there. I just think that those guys
it's not
with
a
the
bad team.
yeah,
I
I
just
think that those
I
guys with the
think
quality of Lewandowski, even if they don't play as a whole unit, I just think that they're good enough to get past Mexico. Um, and Mexico, yeah, like they're just it's one of the worst Mexican teams we've seen just because of their age. They didn't even call up Diego Lainez, who I think probably deserved it. Um, maybe he's injured. I haven't really looked that far, but like Rogelio Funes Mori got a call up.
it's weird. The call ups
It's
are
a
weird.
bad Mexican. It's
They
not a
don't
good
make
Mexican
sense.
team. I
No,
do not have high expectations for them.
but regardless of the fact, I just see them, and it's not going to be by a wide margin either, which is going to be the case for a lot of these
Yeah,
picked up.
no, that this group is going to be, the second and third are going to be close.
Yeah,
Poland and Mexico is one of the matches to watch.
it'll come down to
Um,
that matchup, much
yeah,
like Wales. Sorry, much like Wales and Iran. That result will come up to them. I think the same thing with Mexico and Poland.
yeah.
Because
I don't see the amount of quality in Mexico that can get them past that hurdle.
well, we'll see.
I just don't see it.
We will
Now
see.
first place, I think there's going to be no disagreement. Argentina is going to like they're one of the favorites. There's no reason why they shouldn't get 9 points from this group. Like they are just an absolute juggernaut. Like whether it be Messi being back on
Yeah,
form, Dybala's out actually, but a decently strong defense led by Christian Romero. Like
I think their defense is actually their weakest link, and it's still very strong.
it's still a stellar team.
Yeah,
It's a team led by some guys like that are veterans, like your Messi's obviously, but um, you know, it,
Maria is in there, and I think he's going to be a
yeah,
big.
yeah, for sure. And you got Emmy Martinez in goal. He's obviously having a
He
great
knows what he's doing.
career with Villa. They've been all right, but he's always been solid. You got Lisandro Martinez, who is playing. Despite Man United not being great, he's been good. You got Paredes in there. You got Rodrigo De Paul, who's playing well for Atleti. Um, and even an old guy like Papu Gomez is still in that team. So
He knows what he's doing.
yeah, what was
I
that?
think he knows what he's doing. This I
He
see
does.
really zero flaws, 0.1%
Yeah,
flaw in this team.
absolutely. And
I
then
don't
going
see much.
forward, this team is mouthwatering going forward. Julian
Yeah,
Alvarez has been decent, and not completely in Erling Haaland's shadow. Di Maria is still in the team. He's still decent. But then you got, I mean, Lautaro Martinez. Oh, Dybala did get the call up. I thought he was injured, but I was mistaken there. Like Lautaro Martinez is a
yeah.
guy that does not get enough recognition, in my opinion. He's playing phenomenally for Inter, and he's why they're kind of on the map, especially with Lukaku
I
being
think
injured as much
he
as he
might
is.
be the guy, the target man. Really, I mean, obviously all eyes on Messi, but you cannot forget, and I think he will make people realize that they shouldn't forget that he's going to be the guy on this team when Messi retires.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason he shouldn't be. He's only 25. He's got a long career ahead of him. And he's already phenomenal. So yeah, there's no reason Argentina shouldn't win this group. If they don't, then dear God, what happened? Um, I mean, they'll trample Saudi Arabia. I got five
It's
or
not
six
impossible.
nothing in that game.
Crazier things have happened, but God forbid, I think Argentina
Yeah.
is clear.
Um, Argentina, yeah, I think that they'll trample Saudi Arabia. I don't see any issues there. I think they'll beat Mexico probably 3-0. And they
Yeah,
should Poland like maybe 2-3-1. I think Lewandowski's
I
good
think
for
the
a goal in that
Argentina
game, but
Mexico game will be one of those things where like the first half is like Argentina will struggle somehow, but then in the second half they'll just
they'll take off.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be one of those weird
absolutely.
games.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely possible. Moving on to Group D, Australia is getting last. They just
Yeah,
are. Um,
no argument there.
it's a bad team. It's not a good team. It's just they are not getting
No,
anywhere in this group. They're
not
gonna
gonna
finish
argue
with
with you
no
there.
points. Now here is going to be probably my most shocking prediction in this entire list. France is not making it out of this group.
Well, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Here's why.
Please,
Here's why.
please.
There is a method to my madness. Italy won the World Cup in 2006. 2010, they didn't make it out of the group stage. Spain won the World Cup in 2010, went nowhere in 2014. Your beloved Germany won the World Cup in 2014. We saw what happened against South Korea.
Thank you for reminding me. I needed that.
The last and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Brazil made it out of they may or may not have. I forget if they made it out in 2006.
I
The
don't remember.
World Cup curse is real. The winner's curse is an absolute thing. And not to
Okay.
mention, France is missing a lot of its crucial guys. Benzema just got ruled out. The
Hmm?
Ballon d'Or winner, best player in the world last year.
Kunku's out.
Yeah.
That's
And Kunku's out. Guy who's completely slept on. He's leading the Bundesliga in goals. Would have been a big force. Not to mention, though, I think the biggest ones, even more so than those guys, because those guys didn't win it with them in 2018. Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante are both out. And they're both hard to replace. Pogba, yeah, I mean, he's obviously hit or miss, but when he plays for
with France.
France,
Yes,
he's
is
he's at the
one of the
at his
best.
power his peak powers. And
Agreed.
Conte's the little engine that could. They're both out. Now, I think
Yeah,
the guys that are probably going to replace them is the Madrid duo of Chouameni and Camavinga. But that being said, I just don't see it. I don't think that they have it. I think that Deschamps is going to pull a Joachim Low from 2018. I do. I really do. I think he's going to. I do not think France is going to make it out of the group. Obviously, Tunisia is not very good, but I just
yeah.
think that France is going to struggle. I think they're going to
It's a
struggle. They'll
struggle.
beat Australia. They're going to
Yeah,
beat Australia. That Australia team is woeful, but I just don't think France has it to beat Tunisia, and I think they'll lose 2-3 nothing to Denmark.
I think maybe. I think I don't want to jump super out of line here, but I do have Denmark at the top here.
I also have
First
Denmark
place.
winning the group, and I have
Yeah.
Tunisia second.
Here's my
Um,
here's my thing with France. I have France a second because yes, they lost a lot of star power and their midfield is not besides Camavinga and Chouameni. It's not the greatest, but their defense I think is fantastic.
is
With both
Varane playing?
Braun is in the squad, yes.
Is he
You have
okay?
Upamecano who's in form for Bayern. You have both Hernandez brothers who are always good. Pavard, I think he's doing great for Bayern right now. Saliba, Arsenal is just
Yeah,
amazing.
there's
Um,
obviously quality in that defense.
yeah,
I just think that the World Cup curse is going to be too much for them. And here's the thing: France has lost to Denmark the last two times they played them. So
Den-
Denmark has
Denmark is
France's
clear.
number.
In my head, Denmark is clear of this group. I think they do beat France. At the very least, they draw. But
Also, France only has one win in its last six games.
true.
They lost to
I don't know.
Denmark in France. They tied Croatia and Austria. They lost to Croatia, and then they beat Austria. This was all in the Nations League.
Mhm.
France had a woeful Nations League. They were
Yeah.
not good. I think Deschamps has passed it. I think the coaching is going to be the difference here.
Okay. I agree. I
Obviously
think
that
he's
Germany
not.
team in 2018 should have
Yeah.
made it out of that group. They didn't. They got dead last.
Well, that's
I think the
exactly what
same
Germany
thing.
did. They changed their coaching style. Because Joachim Löw had kind of had an old system that worked in
Yeah.
2014, obviously, but as we saw later on, and then in
And
the
I think that's going to
Euros,
happen to Deschamps. That Australia team is so bad that I don't think France should make light work of them. But I think Tunisia is going to surprise them. I just see it. I don't
you
even
can
really
say
know any
so.
players on Tunisia, but I just think that they're going to surprise France. And then Denmark, yeah, Denmark's got quality. They do. I mean, Ericsson's back. But what separates Denmark from the rest is their spirit. That team
That's the
has
thing.
an absolutely unbreakable spirit.
I think France is always one of the most negatively like media focused teams when it comes to any competition, and especially besides that, now that you're losing the Ballon d'Or winner, and a couple other players, it's going to be tough. But I
Yeah,
don't think that Tunisia is even close to a threat for a team like this. I just don't think it's
yeah.
regardless of the World Cup curse. I don't think they have that.
I still think I think I don't think they're getting out of the group. I don't see it. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but I just think that France is going to get tossed. I just think they are. Um, but I guess we'll move on to Group E. Um, Costa Rica's getting last. They're not going to have that miracle run that they did in 2014. They're just not. They're going to get squashed by all three teams in this bracket, and if they don't, then good for them. But all of the guys from 2014 are basically still there. Brian Ruiz is still there. Celso Borges, they're all old.
Yeah,
It's kind of the same thing with Mexico. Like they're all of their best players are on the just downside of their careers. Um, and then they just got drawn into the absolute, one of the groups of death here, if
yeah.
not the group of death. Um,
I'll
yeah,
disagree on that one. We'll get to that later. But
yeah,
yeah, I
it's
think their
it's
last
it's it's a
besides
group of death. It might not be the one, but it's
yeah,
it's a group of death.
besides
Costa
Taylor
Rica's getting
Navas, who is always top tier, there's nothing else going for Costa
yeah.
Rica.
Costa Rica is just it's not happening.
Yeah,
Third, I got Japan.
agreed.
Japan's a good team, but I just think that the other two are too good for them.
Mm.
I don't think that Japan, there's obviously some quality in there. Takahiro Tomiyasu for Arsenal, Ito, the guy on Frankfurt, I can't think of his name.
Daishi Kamada.
Yeah, Daisuke Kamada. There's guys on that Japan team that are good. I just think that Spain and Germany are both too good for them. I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean,
one of
that not
those.
being said, Japan did lose to Canada, my home country. They did lose to
Yeah,
Canada in a friendly the other day. And Canada didn't have two of its best players. So, obviously Tomiyasu didn't play in that game. That's probably Japan's best player. He's playing for Arsenal and playing pretty well there. So I don't think that Japan has that quality that the other two do to get out of this group. If there was a third place qualifier, I think they would do it.
yeah.
Um, I could maybe see them nicking a point off of Spain or Germany, but I just don't think that they will.
They're one of those
Um,
surprise teams that just like
yeah,
where this come from, but it's not
yeah.
gonna. I don't think it's gonna take them too far.
I'm not going to rule them out because again, it is a quality team. There's
Yeah,
a lot of guys in like Takafusa Kubo is an exciting guy, former Real Madrid prospect. There's guys in there that can get it done, but it's going to be a really tough uphill battle
you got
for them.
two juggernauts with them, which is
Yeah. If they were drawn into another group, like maybe the Argentina group, I think they'd get second.
I can
I think they would beat Poland and Mexico. I think they'd get second. But it's just tough. It's a tough group for Japan. And frankly, I feel bad for them because they're a quality team, but
yeah,
it's tough.
that happens.
Um yeah. Anyways, we're in agreement there. Second, I got Spain.
Agreed. Yep.
Um
Bias
Luis
involved and no
Enrique.
bias involved.
Yeah. Luis Enrique is probably my least favorite manager. Obviously, I'm a Real Madrid fan at
Got
heart,
some bias here.
but how do you not call up either Kepa or David De Gea in favor of
Yeah,
Raya and Robert Sanchez?
I think
Just
Unai
how
Simon definitely deserved his spot on the team, but I agree with the other two.
he did,
Why are
like
they
he did. Unai Simon is a good keeper, but my God, how do you leave out De Gea and Kepa?
beyond that fucking monstrosity? Excuse my language. I'm gonna move on to these defenders here. I think this defense is
Yeah,
so old,
yeah.
and there's
Ryan,
no
but
star
and
power on this team.
despite that, Ramos wasn't in the team either. And even if here's the thing with Sergio Ramos, even if he doesn't play, he is still an
He's a,
absolute leader.
he's a leader, yeah,
Like he's obviously he's good for a red card here and there, but maybe sometimes
guaranteed.
more than here and there. Sergio Ramos is an absolute monster, career wise, like
Yep.
absolute leadership qualities. Obviously, he's 36, so he's kind of on the twilight of his career. He's still playing for PSG. It is still a good player, but
Yeah,
I mean, shocking.
I
It's
don't
it's
see
absolutely shocking.
I don't see much coming from this defense. I think it's all gonna come down to strong midfield. They do have a strong midfield.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, God, the
Clemente,
best
you can't look
defender.
over. Gavi,
Best defender
Pedri.
in that team is Laporte.
Yeah, maybe so. I think so. But
um,
it's a slow team.
it is a very slow team. I mean, Rodri, I love the guy. He's not fast. He
Still,
does fit the Spain system. He's got the passing ability. Likewise with Pedri, but um, Busquets is in the team. If he starts, Spain is not winning anything.
I do think that's another player though that like Ramos, even if he doesn't start, it is a leader though. So I think they do have a leader on this team in Busquets, and he's got the experience. And if anything's going to get them through, it's going to be the experience, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It's for me. It's going to be what gets Spain past Japan because Japan is frankly, I think, going to challenge this team. Um, you know, like there's guys in the Spain team that can get it done. I mean, Dani Olmo is criminally slept on.
Yep.
Um, Ansu Fati's in the team. If he's fit, I mean, he can absolutely change a game, turn a game on its head. Pedri is having a great season for Barcelona. Gavi, who how he won the Young Player Award is beyond me,
Unbelievable.
but
Oh,
he's still a quality player. He's good
yeah.
enough, but I just think with the inexperience with him and Pedri and the fact that they're guys, yeah, they have some experience in there, but they're all just old. And then with the goalkeeper absences, I don't think that their selection suits them. Um,
I
I
think
think
it's a
they'll lose
weird
to
mix,
Germany. Go ahead.
a weird mix of young and old for Spain, and I don't think the cohesiveness is going to be there that they need.
Yeah, I don't see it, and I think that with those goalkeeper absences, because I think here's the thing, I would have actually started Kepa if at this
Yeah,
tournament.
I
I
probably
would
would
have
have
started
too.
him. He has been a spider for Chelsea this year. He's been like leaping left, right, and center. It's he's actually looking like the guy that they were supposed to have. 3 or 4 years
Those
ago
years
when they
ago.
bought him.
Yeah,
And I think Kepa's playing really well. I think he's got the mix to be that guy. I would have started him at this tournament, and instead he doesn't even get the call up.
yeah,
My guess is Simon starts. I think Enrique likes him.
100%. I think
Um,
he would have started. He would have been the second starter had they called up De Gea and Kepa. I think De Gea probably would have sat. He should have at least.
yeah,
I
he
don't
should have been on
think
the plane though. He's done enough this year for Man U to be in that team. Um, but yeah, I just think their defense is not going to get it done. Eric Garcia did not deserve a call up. He's not great. Laporte, obviously, I'm a big fan of his. But Jordi Alba is going to be the starting left back. Obviously, we know what he can do going forward, but he's not good defensively. Um, and I don't know who their starting right back is going to be. If it's Aspilicueta, it's kind of the same. Like he's just not.
yeah.
The speed won't be there.
It could be Llorente. I know they have him as a midfielder, but
It
he can
could be,
run
yeah.
that
It could be
role if they
potentially
need.
Marcos Llorente. Well, I guess we'll see. Regardless, that leaves Germany. I think they'll
Yeah,
they'll win the group. I actually have them winning the tournament.
listen. I would love that so much. We can get to that later. I don't think that's going to happen as much as I would love that, but I have them clear favorites in this group. Here's my dilemma, and you can weigh in on this. Who do you start at keeper? I don't think Neuer is
I
the
would start Ter
clear cut
Stegen.
favorite here.
I would start Ter Stegen.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Even Trap is in incredible form. So
yeah,
what do you do here? I don't think
yeah.
you could go wrong either way,
I would
really.
start Ter Stegen. My reasoning. Neuer obviously is still decent enough. He's still getting the job done for Bayern, but Ter Stegen is in first right now in La Liga. Obviously, a couple shocking Champions League results in there for Barcelona, but with them obviously not
I think
making
it's a
it out of their
mindset
group there.
thing. That's a mindset.
Um,
That's
yeah,
just Barcelona.
but Ter Stegen has been phenomenal this year in La Liga.
He's been in great form.
He's got a good clean sheets record right now, and I just think that obviously there's still Barcelona's defense isn't that good. Like especially with Araujo out, I think that. Oh, excuse me. I do think that Ter Stegen is in better form right now
Yeah.
than Neuer. Neuer's obviously got the distribution going for him, but
And
Ter,
he
if
is one of the best leaders of all time.
oh yes, he is,
If
and
he
and that's why
starts,
he's still there.
it's going to be that
Yeah,
against
but I
United.
would start Ter Stegen. I do think he's got that extra edge. but this Germany team is pretty good. Um,
There's very little flaws. I think first, I love Hansi Flick. For Bayern, I love Hansi Flick, and I think he's
yes,
gonna turn this team around very quickly in the
and
World Cup qualifiers.
mhm,
Please,
absolutely, and I think Hansi Flick is actually why I have them winning the tournament because he, the thing with international coaching is a lot of these guys um stink. A lot of them aren't good coaches.
yeah,
Hansi Flick is one of the few that has actually done very well in club football. You obviously won the Champions League in 2020.
well,
Um,
this next couple was Bayern, and I know that
yeah,
squad was so stacked with star power, but
it was, but you still got to coach him there.
got to give something to the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think that he is going to be that difference maker for this German team. But I mean, going at the back, I mean, Sula, Rudiger, uh, I would say are probably going to be the starting center backs. Both of them are in decent form.
Don't
Um,
overlook Schlotterbeck. He has been in great form.
he's also been very good
Yeah,
for Dortmund. Dortmund as a whole hasn't been fantastic this year, but I mean, the defense is good enough to get the job done.
yeah.
Their midfield is
I think
mouthwatering.
their midfield is the one of the best midfields in this tournament, and that's going to be the
Yes.
deciding factor in
It,
the games going forward.
if not the best. I mean, Kimmich is absolutely an absolute monster. I mean, that guy can cover the entire field
He will,
if he wants to.
and if Neuer is sat, he's the captain. I think.
It I could see it. Depends if Gundogan plays. I
True.
think if
He's
Gundogan
got a
plays,
good
I
case.
believe if Neuer sits, it'll be him.
Yeah,
But I mean, Kimmich is a great shout for it as well. Or Mueller possibly too.
maybe. I love
Yeah,
Muller, but I think he's
Mueller
more.
is a World Cup guy. He just is. He's got 10 goals in the World Cup. Was the leader in 2010, big leader in 2014.
Mhm.
He's been at this stage before, so I absolutely think that
Yep.
he would be a shout
I
in for
I
captain too.
do think he's a little bit out of place. Not to say that he doesn't deserve it, but this is now a young team.
It's a much younger team. Mueller's the second oldest player in the team
But so is
outside of
Bayern.
Neuer,
Bayern is a
which
young team too, and he is leading it
mhm,
like nothing ever happened. I think Jamal
yeah,
Musiala is going to be the difference maker for this team. He
yes,
is such an exciting player.
somebody from Germany is winning the Golden Boy Award.
He
For the
should have
World Cup or
won.
whatever it's called, the Young Player Award or something like that.
Yeah,
It'll either be Musiala or Mukoko, whatever one is a better
yeah,
tournament. Um, both of them are extremely exciting. I do think Musiala is going to start in this team,
100%.
and he absolutely should.
He's in great form,
He's been electric this year
amazing form.
for Bayern. So there's absolutely no
Mhm.
reason why he should not win the Best Young Player award.
Yep,
Um, I think because Germany beat Spain in this group, I do think that that'll put him above the likes of Pedri and Gavi for this tournament. It'll come down to the three guys that kind of have been in this conversation before.
I also think Fulkrug is going to be so slept on, but he is going to be one of the guys that he deserves a shout for this squad. He is
Possibly.
in great form, and again, it's a younger team, but I think he can make the difference.
Yeah. I think with their mix of experience, unlike Spain, I think with the mix of experience and youth, I think will actually complement itself.
Yeah,
I just think that Germany's got a lot more quality than Spain does right now, and there's enough quality in there that really I think that they'll be
yeah,
the guys to win this group. Um, anyways, moving on to Group F, which could be
this
the
is
other, one of the other shouts for the group of death
this is
here.
my group of death here. I will be honest with you. I have no spots for this group. I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know what's going on in this group.
So I'm being extremely optimistic with this group because I'm a little biased. I do not have Canada finishing last. A lot of people do, but I've got Morocco finishing last.
I don't know.
Now,
I just don't know. I
yeah,
think
that's
Paco
fair.
it's going to
This
be one
group
of
is
those teams.
extremely tough.
Yeah, it's going to be one of
Um,
those teams that deserves respect. Morocco.
they
That I don't
do.
think they're going to get first or second place, but they will be a problem.
Oh, absolutely. There's enough quality in there. I mean, Yassine Bounou is a phenomenal goalkeeper. Obviously, Sevilla's having a bit of a stinker for a season, but he's still decent enough. You obviously got guys like Achraf Hakimi. who's a friggin' jet engine on the field. Like, dude runs for days. There's other guys in there too, and Morocco's a great team. It's not to say that they're not like
Yeah,
they are a quality team. And they I think could shock people. Hakim Ziyech is back in there after a bit of a layoff because of a coaching dispute. So he's back in there. That's huge for them. Um, and there's other guys in here that can get it done. And Nesri is also very good, but again he's on Sevilla having a bit of a stinker of a season. But there is quality in this team. Roman Saiz, obviously former Wolves player, he's been decent in Turkey this year, but um,
I'll put them in
there's
last.
I
I'll
I
put
just don't think with the other three I just don't think that there's going to be enough in there.
yeah.
Um, I got Croatia in third. Now, the thing that, again, I'm being a bit optimistic in this group because I want my guys to qualify, but Croatia's old. Similar to Mexico, their team is aging. All their best players have either retired or are way past 30.
Mm.
Mandzukic isn't there anymore. That's a big loss. I don't believe Subasic is there anymore. That's a big loss. Um, Modric, obviously, I mean, age is just a number to him.
He's gonna be the star.
Yeah,
But I think
Modric is
age
absolutely fantastic. There's nothing to say about him.
I don't think
Um,
age is gonna be what like in other teams, an old team is gonna bring you down. I think
it's
age is what makes
it's
this
the
team so good.
defense. It's the defense for me. Dan Lovren is 33, and I mean he wasn't great to begin with. He just had a phenomenal 2018, frankly. And Domagoj Vita's old too. I think those guys are going to have trouble with pace. Morocco's a fast team, with guys like Hakimi. Canada is an extremely
Very
fast team.
fast team.
Alfonso Davies is his nickname is literally the Roadrunner. Tejan Buchanan is extremely fast. Jonathan David's not slow. Kyle Larin, not the fastest, but still get it done. And then there's the guys behind them that I just think will do it for them. The problem with Croatia is not so much like Luka Modric is phenomenal, but I think teams like Canada are going to disrupt that because of how fast they are.
It
Even
might just
Atiba Hutchinson at 39 years old is still got that step with him. He just does. And I think that despite Croatia's quality and despite the fact that they made the final in 2018, I just don't think that they're going to do it. Not could I be wrong? Yes, I could be potentially just being optimistic. Croatia could very well finish
I don't
first or
think they
second
should.
in this
They
group.
weren't good enough in on paper in my opinion, to make that World Cup final, but they did.
They
It's
made
a
it
sprint
through
team.
mostly kind of like Denmark, I would say, on spirit and
Yeah,
just relying on their leaders. But I mean, let's look at the Croatia team here. So, yeah, Subasic is no longer there. The guy that I would say is going to be their starter is uh, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pronounce this guy's name. Dominik Livakovic. He plays for Dinamo Zagreb. Obviously, a decent team in Croatia, but I just don't see it. I just don't think he's got the edge there. I mean, he'll be decent, but I don't think he'll be the guy. And yeah, their starting center backs are still going to be the same too from 2018. It's going to be Lovren and Vita.
yeah.
They're both 33. Um, and I just
Here's
think they're going to have trouble
here's a
with that
prediction I
pace.
can feel strong with. Uh,
Um,
Whoever wins is going to win with 4 points, in my opinion.
I absolutely think that that is quite a possibility.
I don't know who it is. I think I'll put Belgium at first, just
I think
because
Belgium will
it's
get first as well. Even if Lukaku's out, which he is right now, I'm pretty sure, but even if he's out, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, I think alone can just
yeah.
take that team to the next level. But then you got guys like obviously Thibaut Courtois,
But
who's
Trossard is on fire.
Trossard. Trossard should be a surefire starter in that team.
Yeah, especially
Um,
with Lukaku out. I think he'll be great up there.
yeah, they did play a friendly the other day. They actually lost to Egypt.
Yeah,
Mishi Bashuai was the starting striker, so he's obviously not Lukaku. I, I don't think he'll do it, but I think Belgium has enough quality outside of him to potentially get it done. But I think that they're going to have trouble. It's not going to be a surefire bet with Belgium. And kind of going back to Croatia, like obviously Kovacic is still good. Um, but I mean, other than him and Brozovic, like a lot of their guys are just they're really up there.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't say I
Perisic
feel
is
too strongly about this group in terms of who's winning. I'll say it here and not confidently. Belgium first, Canada second, Croatia third, Morocco fourth.
the same, yeah, same as what I have. The thing with Canada is maybe I'm being optimistic again, but Canada's team is not bad. They
No,
got first in CONCACAF, and that was without like half of the games Davies didn't play. Like their team spirit is second to none. And I think that comes from their coach, John Herdman. Guy absolutely knows how to motivate a team. But Davies is back now. He was confirmed today to be primed for Belgium in the opener.
okay.
But Canada's weak point is definitely their defense. Fikayo Tomori, going back to that guy, he should have absolutely played for Canada. He chose to declare for England. He's past eligibility now. He can't switch. Um, yeah, he was born in Calgary. Now he moved to England, I think, at the age of 1. So he obviously isn't. He obviously, kind of had his heart set on playing for the UK, but he should have played for Canada. He didn't get called up to the World Cup. Harry Maguire starting above him. Gareth Southgate, he's a moron. But
He needs to be out. He should have been out years ago. And
yeah,
I'll die on this hill. I think he's awful.
yeah, absolutely. Tomori should absolutely be in this team. And if he played for Canada,
He
one,
would
he
have made
would have played all of the games in qualifying. He would have been the
without a doubt.
first name in our back line, and he would have been at the World Cup. If he chose to play for us, but he didn't. But that being said, our defense isn't bad. It's led by MLS guys, but guys that could potentially get scouted in this tournament, depending on how well they do. Um, Guys like Kamal Miller played in the MLS All Star game. He's a guy that's not bad. I think Europe could definitely take a sniff at him. Same with Alistair Johnston, who's probably going to play right back for us. But our goalkeeper's pretty experienced. He's Milan Borjan. He plays in Serbia for Red Star Belgrade. Constant team in the Europa Champions Leagues. They got Stefano Stacchio in the midfield. He's on fire for Porto. Just made the round of 16 in the Champions League. But then obviously, I think Canada's strengths are their wings and their attack. Their wings left is obviously going to be Alphonso Davies. No questions there. He's going to be the guy that has to put the team on his back. Right wing Tajon Buchanan plays for Bruges. Also made the Champions League round of 16. And then I think they'll probably play with a 10, with a number 10 and a number 9 in Jonathan David and Kyle Larin. David obviously plays for Lille, has won a league title with them, was a top scorer a couple of years ago. And Larin, yeah, he hasn't been in the best form for Bruges, but he is still playing for Bruges, and he's still the all-time goal scorer for Canada. I just think that those guys are going to be able to get it done. Maybe nick a point off Croatia. I do think we'll lose to Belgium. I think De Bruyne will be too much for us, but I have some optimism for Canada to finish second in this group. I really do.
I don't have any major arguments with that. It's going to be way too close for me to put
Yeah,
money on the thing.
fair
If there's
enough.
ever a group that I'm not putting money on, it's this one. I
No,
actually have
neither would
them
I.
in
Absolutely
in
not.
my in my bracketing and choosing this, where I
Yeah,
was putting teams like green or yellow for first or second place. I didn't highlight anyone in this group. I actually highlighted the group with red because I had nothing for this group. This
fair
is
enough.
it's way too hard for this group.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, moving on to Group G. So we only got two groups left, and then we'll have to wrap it up. But Group G, Cameroon is not making it anywhere in this tournament. Their best player, I'm pretty sure, retired from them a couple of years ago. That's Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting.
No, he's in the squad. He's in the
Is he
squad.
in the squad? Okay,
Yep,
so he
he's
came
in
out
the
of
squad.
retirement. Even so, I don't think they're doing anything in this tournament. They never do. They had Samuel Eto'o, and they couldn't make it out of the group back in
He
2006.
thinks they're winning the whole thing.
Yeah, he's crazy, but call absolute class player, but he's insane. Yeah, Cameroon is not doing anything in this group. They are going to finish last. Second and third, I don't know.
I'm gonna put Switzerland at second. Not
Yeah,
by a lot.
Switzerland tends to do well at tournaments. They had a good Euro showing. Jan Sommer obviously stood on his head.
That's going to be the
Um,
difference maker.
yeah, Switzerland is decent at tournaments, so I can potentially agree with that. Serbia's attack is really good, though. I mean, like Filip Kostic is in there, Vlahovic, who for Juventus. Now Juventus obviously stink, but Vlahovic is, in my opinion,
Yeah.
outside of Holland. I would actually put and Mbappe. I would put Vlahovic as one of the most like exciting young strikers out there. He really is. He's got everything to succeed. He's six
I like him a
three.
lot. Yeah.
He's got pace. He's got heading ability. He can finish. Like Vlahovic, if he's on form, Serbia could get second. But I would agree with you. I do think Switzerland has that edge. They have a tournament edge. They just do.
Even
Um,
without Summer, they have Kobel, who is
Gregor
he's
Kobel, still a
doing
decent
good.
goalkeeper. Yeah, I mean he's playing for Dortmund. He's playing for one of the best teams in Germany. So there's guys
I think
out there.
Switzerland's defense is actually fairly decent.
Oh, Manuel Akanji, Kevin and Babu. There's guys in there that are
Elvedi
definitely
from Gladbach.
yeah.
It's not a bad team,
Switzerland is one of those teams that no one really expects much out of, but then they're consistently decent. Um,
and they
here
knocked out
I'll see where
France.
they're ranked. I'll see where they're ranked right now.
Yeah,
In the FIFA World Rankings, but
I think it's surprisingly high. But they knocked out France in the last Euro
in the
with
Euros they did, and
wow.
they just beat Spain in the Nations League. They're a team that is absolutely always slept on, despite being they're currently ranked 15th in the world. Um,
That's,
obviously not having Summer. I mean, Summer's going to play. He's there, so he's gonna be a key guy. But yeah, I mean Elvedi, who you mentioned, Sylvan Vidmar is decent. Ricardo Rodriguez, he's a bit older now, but he's still good. And Fabian Schär for Newcastle, who has been absolutely fantastic this year. He's been partnering Botman in that Newcastle team, so I absolutely think that he'll be a shoe in for center back. But then their
just
midfield is still decent. Granit Xhaka is playing some of the best football that he
yes,
has in his life.
yeah. The Arsenal is
Um,
going to carry over. It's an older
yeah,
midfield, but it's a good midfield.
it's
You
still
still
a
got
decent one.
security.
Yeah,
You got
obviously Dennis
Zakaria.
Zakaria is in there.
Yes,
He's
very
finally
good.
playing for Chelsea, so
He should have been the whole.
he could be decent. And then obviously the old MLS legs of Sheridan Shaqiri are still always good at tournaments,
Yeah,
so could be decent there. And then Braylon Bolo up top with Seferovic, I think will be a good duo. I absolutely think that there is enough quality in this Switzerland team to get second. And Brazil is I mean, come on, it's similarly to
surprise.
Argentina.
Yes.
Brazil's one of the favorites. They should get first in this group. I don't really see any complaints there.
No, I think it's
Um,
a 9 point advancement for them. I don't think
oh
there's
yeah,
much
I
to say.
don't. They should be able to beat all three of these teams. Switzerland maybe will give them trouble. They have in the past. Um, but yeah, Brazil should be a shoe in for first here. There should be no complaints there. Um, yeah, I don't think there's too much issue there. Group H is a bit of a tough one. I do
I
think
feel
Ghana.
confident with my picks here. Actually, I think
Yeah,
I'll put Ghana in last.
I would
they got
agree.
a couple good players, but it's nothing that's exciting.
Yeah, obviously Thomas Partey is decent. Should he be playing for Ghana? Should he be playing at all? Maybe not, but he
We
is
don't have
he
to get into that.
he,
That's
he is there.
he's
Um,
saying.
he's still Ghana's best player. But I just don't think he's gonna be. I don't
Yeah.
think there's enough there around him to have them do anything. So yeah, I think Ghana will get last as well.
I think this is a sad third place exit for Heung-min Son.
I would agree with that as well. Similarly to Japan, South Korea's got a good team, led by Sonny, of course, and he is there. Despite the fact that there was some questionable game time decision making there with him, but he's wearing the face mask, looking like Rudiger did uh, with
Taking some
Chelsea, and
inspiration.
yeah, he
Yeah.
is there. Um, but similarly, I don't think South Korea's got the quality to beat either Uruguay or Portugal.
Yeah.
Um,
As much as I love Son and I want him to win something in his career, it's not happening here.
it's not, unfortunately, and yeah, they made it out. They did have a good tournament in 2018, beating Germany, but sorry to mention that again,
Hey,
but
happens.
I don't see it. Um, I just think that Uruguay and Portugal have that amount of quality. Just that will just take South Korea out. I don't like they'll get. I think they'll beat Ghana with ease, but I
Probably.
think that they're going to make it. Both Portugal and Switzerland should, or not Switzerland. Sorry, Portugal and Uruguay will be able to beat South Korea. I just don't think that they have that level of quality needed. Um,
Yeah, no, disagreement here. I don't know if this is going to be something you agree on. I have Uruguay winning this group here,
this
and
is tough.
I don't think it's close. Honestly, I think I'm so confident in Uruguay. Maybe this is a hot take. I love their midfield. Darwin
Oh,
Nunez as a forward is in
Valverde. I
form.
mean, you can't say enough about Valverde. I mean,
Yeah,
he is in the form of his life, top five midfielder in the world right now, in my opinion. There's no questioning that. I still think Portugal's winning the group, but I have Uruguay second, but it'll be close. I think it'll be 7-7. Um, I do. There's a very high possibility that they draw Portugal. I think Portugal will have it on goal difference. I just think their attack is going to be too much with Ronaldo. Maybe not Ronaldo, but even Rafael Leao. I think is going to be a hot
yeah.
player in this tournament. I always forget he's Portuguese. I always think he's Brazilian for some reason, but Rafael Leao, I think, is going to be enough to get Portugal past it. The thing with Uruguay's attack, Cavani and Suarez are both in there. Cavani's not having a great year. Valencia as a whole hasn't had a great year, but Suarez is kind of in the twilight of his career. He's been linked with MLS a lot recently. Darwin Nunez will be the guy.
He's in form now, finally. But I think
It took him forever, but yes.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I just I think Portugal is going to be one of those paper teams that is supposed to be so good, but might fall short a little bit of expectations. I have Uruguay at 9 points in this group, as surprising
Ooh.
as it is.
Okay.
They'll make
Yeah.
light work of uh, Korea and Ghana, which I think you'll agree with me on that
I
one.
think both. Yeah, I think both teams will beat them with relative ease. At least they
But
should.
this might be like a 2-1, 1-0 win over Portugal, in my opinion, that sends them to first place at this one.
It's possible. Um, but I just think Portugal has that edge with their attack. Obviously Gio Jota is not there, so that's a big loss. But Ronaldo, I mean, yeah, he's not in the best form of his life, and there's a lot of off-field issues with him right now.
So how much is that going to play into it? Because you
It
got a
could,
lot of bad eyes
it
on
could,
Ronaldo.
but Bernardo Silva is still in that midfield. Ruben Neves is still in that midfield. Obviously, Wolves stink, but he's still class. William Carvalho is still decent with Batiste, and then Bruno. So they have all of those guys that I think are going to make up their midfield.
Yeah,
But
can't
then
deny that.
going forward, Portugal still is a phenomenal team. I mean, Andre Silva is still in the squad. He might start over Ronaldo in this team. I think he should personally. Um, but Andre Silva is still there. Joao Felix is still there, and Rafael Leao is still there. I think that all those guys are going to be able to put it over the edge. Plus, Portugal's defense is better than Uruguay's. Uruguay's best defender is Nestor Araujo. He's on the fence right now. I don't know if he's going to play. He's a big loss for Uruguay. Ruben Diaz is there for Portugal. Now, obviously, Pepe is their other center back, and he's as old as the dawn of time, but
He's got the experience.
he's
And
still got the experience, and he's still got that angry edge.
yeah,
So I still think Pepe has, and then Diego Dallo has been decent for Man U this year, despite their struggles on the field. But Dallo is decent, and Cancelo is there.
yeah.
But with Guerrero in the wings.
Um,
Um, so
looking at this team on paper, there's nothing wrong with this team at
yeah,
all. But we've seen in so many
yeah,
instances where teams that should win, for whatever reason, whether the other team is too good, surprisingly, or the team has got too much on their mind, I think they
yeah.
drop a
It's
little.
possible. It's possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but I just think that Portugal has that amount of quality to get past Uruguay. Uruguay's got a phenomenal midfield. Obviously, Valverde, as I just mentioned, but Bentancur as well. Decent player. But I just think that Portugal's going to have that edge, whether it's Ronaldo or not Ronaldo. I think they should be able to win this group. Not with ease, but I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to win the group. All right.
At the very
Well,
least, they'll get out. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that'll do it for our World Cup predictions. We hope you tune in to Football Biz. This is our first podcast, so I would say it went pretty well for the first one, but we hope to see you soon. And I'm Grayson Mortimer,
Hunter Boyven.
and we will see you next time.
See you guys.